Hi and welcome to an evening Yin Yoga class. What's important for you, there's a really broad spectrum of different poses, so I invite you to really seize them. And thank you so much for being here. And we start on hands and knees. Observe the way that you allow your hands to arrive on the floor. I invite you to shift from side to side, maybe to roll the shoulders back, to mobilize the head and the neck, so you can come into your felt sense and into your body, and then stay for 2 to 3 rounds of your breath on your hands and knees, and start connecting to your breath so that your conscious awareness can stay with your breathing and maybe rest there as we practice. And then with the next inhale, just shift your whole body weight a little bit forward, as if you would want to bring the nose over the front side of the mat. Lift off your shins, lower legs, and start as the breath continues to flow to mobilize your ankles. The breath stays fluid. You can also bend the elbows, mobilize the shoulders and the neck, and then slowly return with your feet to the floor. Allow that the toes are touching. Inhale, and with an exhale, the shoulders still release down towards your hips. Come into the toe squat. As your toes are touching the floor, your feet are flexed. We're walking the hands back and slowly rolling up to come into a seated position, sitting on our heels. Allow that the shoulders can roll back and arrive here. And as though it doesn't look that strenuous, this pose is quite challenging. So if it's too hard for you, you can always use a bolster that you can put in between your legs just to take off a little bit of weight from your body on the heels of your feet, and can stay in a meditative pose here. And if it's too much in general, you can always come forward, inhale here, and release the feet just to mobilize the ankles, to exhale all the extra tension, and then return whenever you're ready to continue. So if you're seated here, no matter be it on a bolster or on your heels, pay attention to your spine being erect, your pelvis being this upright bowl carrying your spine, and connect to your breathing. And maybe extend the breath just a little bit. And can the exhale be really soft and unstrained? And if that's enough for your conscious awareness, if that is enough for your capacity to be with yourself, stay with it. But if you have practiced Yin Yoga before and you're aware with the process and can expand your capacity of focus and awareness, and start with an inhale to imagine an energy line that flows up from your tailbone to your crown, and with an exhale sinks down over the midline from your crown to your pelvic floor. And then the cycle continues with an inhale over the back of your body to the crown, and with an exhale, a fluid gliding down towards your navel and your pelvic floor. Let's do this one more time. So we're inhaling deeply to the crown and exhaling softly, breath falling down towards the navel and the pelvic floor. And then finally we can release. We're allowed to sigh when we come forward. Inhale here, and maybe with an exhale go start to mobilize your ankles, your feet, your shoulders, your head, and to find yourself and flush yourself. And then slowly come back to the floor, and we're coming forward into a seated position over the side, and both legs can be in front of us. Maybe they're slightly bent for the beginning, and what I want you to feel and find is your sit bones. So please be so kind and come to sitting on your hands, your palms underneath your pelvis, and maybe you find that you're sitting on two bones, and feel if they're pointing those bones more to the front, or if you can keep the pelvis upright so that you feel those bones pointing and pushing towards the floor. And if that's really hard with the legs straight, I advise you to bend the knees so the pelvis can stay upright. And to find this without sitting our hands, because this would be painful, come down and come back into the position with the two sit bones directly pointing into the floor. And then let's see if we can go forward without losing this pushing of our tail, of our sit bones into the floor. And if that's really hard for you with straight legs, use a pillow underneath your legs to allow your pelvis to be upright. And for this, coming forward, let the shoulders be rolled back and start with an exhale to roll down, really starting with your head. Keep the collarbones wide and roll through the spine. And feel when you really empty. And then with the next inhale, push the sit bones into the floor again and come back up, roll back up to a seated position. And then to add another nuance, feel that you can, as you're sitting, shifting from the right to the left. And we still want to observe the breath and keep it fluid. And there is an equal contact of the sit bones to the floor as you shift. So I really want you to be able to observe whatever happens down there as you're going from side to side. And maybe you want to expand the movement, finding circles or semicircles. And always observing the fluid breath and the contact to the floor. And we're going forward and trying to really lift the heart forward and lead with the heart. The chin stays down. So we're starting with this rolling back down and releasing the back line. And then with an inhale coming straight, the chin stays to the floor. And with an exhale, we're leading with the sternum. Let's do this one more time. With an inhale, we're rounding, creating a C curve. And with an exhale, come forward, straight spine, heart and sternum leading, chin to the floor. See how far you can go without strain. Allow the legs to really be heavy. And then when you've arrived for now, let's start the actual journey and incorporate this shifting from side to side or this circling. So we feel as we keep breathing and staying in contact with the breath, whatever our body feeds back to us through the contact to the floor and the stress that we're adding by maybe sinking deeper. And wherever you are, Let's stay in this pose for 2 minutes so that you for yourself can observe and learn to observe which movements are possible for you as you practice Yin Yoga, and if this helps you with releasing with an exhale. Try as you're in the pose to keep everything as heavy and relaxed as possible. As if you're shifting or pulsing or circling, that the breath is still fluid, and that our awareness, our conscious attention is still with what we're doing and not somewhere else. And if you get lost, connect to the breath. Feel that you return to calmness, that the floor maybe calls you down and you surrender. Last minute. The feet can be really, really relaxed. We're trying to keep all the muscles as relaxed as possible so we can flow into the surrounding and interpenetrating tissues of fascia. If it's hard for you to keep the hands and arms relaxed, just tense them up a little bit with an inhale and release them with an exhale. Last 15 seconds. Wait for the body inviting you to go further or deeper, not forcing. And as the time is over, do not come out too hastily. Really take your time, and also to feel the breath still flowing, to feel that you can be intuitive about which movements your body probably wants to do as you come out, and enjoy disconnecting to your felt sense and your body's feedback. And as we release the pose, remove the bolsters on blocks or pillows, whatever you used for support, and arrive knees hip width apart or even further into Balasana or Child's Pose. Feel always free to pat yourself up if you need to. Your head can be on the floor. You see me lifting it so you hear me better because of my mic. But try to keep the hands soft, the connection to the floor, the connection to your breath, and everything stays relaxed and heavy. Find your breath, the cycle of your breath, this creating of space, and maybe where you can feel your inhale, and maybe where you can feel the sinking as you exhale. And allow this for a couple of rounds, a couple of moments to be your movement meditation. Feel that the head is still released, the shoulders are released, and then slowly with an inhale come back up onto hands and knees. And with an exhale, come into a flushing as you go side to side or into a cat-cow in a smaller marauding bear. And after this gentle massage from within, let's go into opening our mediastinum, our heart area, and we come into seal as we slowly, elbows close to our chest, sink down onto our forearms. Your hands are still soft and relaxed on the floor. Your elbows are that far apart that your shoulders are happy. Your legs are heavy. And if your lower back is complaining, allow your pelvis to tilt just a little bit with tailbone to your heels. Or you pad yourself up with a bolster or a pillow or a blanket. I want for you to arrive here slowly and slow down your mind so you can come and go with your breathing in and out of your body. Maybe feel the feedback from the floor, the feedback from your body. And you will see that Alex goes into a variation where he's using a pillow for more height. And we don't have to stay here frozen, but we're still listening and breathing, staying in contact as we perform intuitively small movements. And I start the timer. And we're here for 2 minutes. And if you're realizing that your lower back is happy, then give yourself permission to, if it feels right for you, come a little bit higher onto your hands. No matter if you're using a prop like a bolster or if you're on your hands, that you're really free how you want to use your hands and your arms and how you want to rotate your hands so your shoulders are happy. What feels really nice for your forearms, if there's an additional stretch. So you see me pointing my fingers back here of one hand just to give me this inside of my arm stretch. And I'm moving very deliberate and very aware of whatever I'm doing. So I can really work into the tissues here and feel safe as I experiment. And if you go into these challenges with awareness, you can feel whatever's opening in your body without pain. We just still have a couple, so we're staying with a slow, deep breath and feeling if we can still be in contact with the floor. And try whatever you feel, not to fall into it, but to have this healthy distance of awareness without reacting. And as we hear the gong, wherever we are, on our forearms, on a pole bolster, or on our hands, we're slowly and with awareness, maybe also releasing the jaw or the voice, coming down onto the floor. So that we can come onto our bellies, elbows maybe pointing to the side. The chin can be on your hands or cheek or your forehead. If you are feeling your lower back, you can bend one leg up for a release of this side. And stay here for a couple of breaths until you find that your lower back has released, the breathing has returned to normal. And then slowly come back and go into the other side of bending the other leg and releasing here. Also here stay for a couple of breaths. I'm just keeping my head up so you hear me. But really feel that you're resting nicely and relaxed and calm on the floor. that you can reconnect with your breath if you lost that connection, and keep it as you're straightening this leg again. Both hands can come with your fingertips underneath your shoulders. The shoulders are anchored, and then slowly come back up onto hands and knees with an inhale, and with an exhale return to Balasana or Child's Pose. And as you go back, feel free to pulse the spine, to wave from side to side, to circle, to mobilize. Be aware, gentle and spontaneous. Listen to what your body wants to do for a release. And as you do so, stay in contact with your breath and the floor. And then really keep the head relaxed. Keep the navel slightly connected to the spine. Inhale, come back up onto hands and knees. With an exhale, arrive here. And we're going into the dragon and starting with our right leg, stepping forward. For now, your right knee is directly over your right ankle, and you can really experiment with where you want to place your right foot. So come further out to the side or stay closer to the midline of your mat. And if your back knee is not happy, just pad it up with a blanket or rolling the mat, padding it up, taking it double. Your hands can be on a block or bolster. And we're going into the winged dragon as a variation for today, where we're coming on the outer edge of our foot. And I don't want you to collapse, but really stay connected to your foot. So there are no folds or creases showing on the inside of your ankle as you come to the outside of your foot. And once you have your leg and ankle and foot integrated, just move a little bit away from your right leg and again apply the techniques of shifting or circling or pulsing. And if you're feeling that your body releases and that you feel okay with going deeper, really wait for the invitation. Use again a prop, as you see Alex doing here by taking the bolster, or me without prop with forearm on the floor. And find again where your body wants to take you. So maybe you want to turn your head to the ceiling. Maybe you want to look down, see where your right arm wants to go. You see Alex having it supported on his thigh, using it for pushing himself away a little bit into a back bend. And you can always also play with the upper arm if you're not using it for support, just to add some extra weight, or whatever you feel in your back as you move. And maybe you can find also a connection as you're breathing to the floor and to the inside of your right leg. So there is this really nice exchange from the inside to the outside of feeling and the feedback you get from the floor. And stay spontaneous as you're practicing, interested in the sensations that arise. And then slowly, in your own time and manner, come back onto your hands. Keep the breath still flowing, releasing the shoulders and the head. Really take your time. And we're coming into Ardha Hanuman for a moment. The right knee can still be bent. And we're opening the back side of our leg. And then slowly we're coming forward knee over ankle, and slowly wander up for the lunge position. For the fire breathing dragon, shoulders are melting. Feel that you're sinking forward. I want you to feel the pose in the target area of the left upper thigh. And maybe you want to come back to the memory of this upright bowl. So you bring the pelvis up with your tailbone pointing to the floor. And if there's no strain or pain in the lower back, you can also empty out the pelvic bowl. But there will be a little bit loss of fire in the upper left thigh, a little less tension. So whatever you do, feel free. You saw just Alex releasing his shoulders. Really nice work of awareness. And see if you can work that edge where you're not reacting to a stimulus. You can also free up the arms. Sense that your shoulders are free, the neck is released. So you can really sink deeper without stiffening up the upper body, the shoulders, or the breath. And stay interested in what rooms are opening as you're breathing. Last 15, fingers relaxed. And then slowly sink deeper. Come back with your right leg to your left. And you can come back onto Balasana, Child's Pose. Alex is going to do whatever he feels is right for him. Or come onto your belly for connecting with your rebound. So the sensation of releasing the pelvis, of the tissues slowly bouncing back. Maybe you feel your pranamaya kosha, your energy body, or the shift of chi or prana as a warm or cold sensation that's moving through your body. And so we're also trying to find the release when we come back to rest. We're staying with the breath and the connection to the floor. For a couple of breaths, still feel your belly pushing gently as you breathe into the floor, the lower back releasing as you exhale. And then let's come back up very slowly from child's pose or the floor to hands and knees. And start flushing yourself with movements, shifting, circling, marauding bear. And just trust your body, whatever it wants to do. So my body gives me the impulse to stretch. And whatever supports your movement, meditation, go with it. And we return onto hands and knees for the other side. So the left leg steps forward. We are arriving with our hands on the floor. So we're finding a comfortable width for our left inner hip, coming onto our outside of the left foot without collapsing in the ankle. And turning away in this variation of dragon, the winged dragon, to come into a slow back bend, listening to our breath, staying in contact with whatever touches the floor, so that we're actually feeling that we massaging ourselves as we very attentively shifting without any haste. And then slowly, if your body is inviting you, dive deeper. Again, use props, using a bolster or two. And then start again the shifting and going into the felt sense. And let's stay here for one more minute. If you feel like, mobilize your head, your neck, stay connected to whatever feels pleasurable or like a good challenge. You want to arrive within yourself. You want to arrive in contact with the floor. Whatever you can observe also in your mind of patterns, attitudes. And if your body invites you, deepen the pose. Especially if the sensation ceases as the body open up, maybe you want to look further. Be guided from within. Also again for spontaneous movements. And then as time is slowly over, return to the floor, onto your hands. Maybe there's a sigh happening because of the release. And then let's just for a couple of breaths go into Adho Hanuman on this side, just to release the groin, to find access to the backside of our left thigh. And then return for our last pose today, for the dragon or the low lunge. You can always use both hands to push yourself away, to find the pelvis upright. Until you find this activation on the top of your right leg. And I'm starting the timer again for 1 minute. And feel free, whenever you've reached your melting point, to release the arms again. Maybe that's deepening your pose. If that's too much, just return with your hands on your leg. And reconnect again with this deep breathing. A little bit of support through the pelvic floor, through the ana, navel to spine. And then this bouncing, this pulsing between fulfillment, filling yourself up as you inhale, and emptiness as you exhale. Soft neck. And you feel free to sigh or make a tone as you come with both hands again on the floor. Shift to your right. Alex is doing very intuitive movements. I like it a lot. And then slowly you can step back with your right leg to your left. We're bringing the knees a little bit further apart. Feel free to pat yourself up. And coming forward with our arms, really also spreading the fingers. We can push the floor away for a release of the lower back and arrive in Balasana for some good resting. Feel this rounding as you inhale, drawing the heart forward and finding the back long as you exhale. Maybe it is shifting, those small movements that remind us that we are alive. And then slowly from here, come back up onto hands and knees. Find again one deep breath and come over the side, back to the front to a seated position. And if sitting with crossed legs is really, really exhausting for you because of your pelvis and keeping it upright, and the knees come up and it's more a strain than relaxing, really feel free to sit on a bolster so your legs can drop. And feel that you can also push your sit bones into the bolster so your spine really is upright and erect. Your pelvic bowl, as the name says, like a bowl upright standing on the floor. And then find yourself here again, calm, wide collarbones, relaxed shoulders, so you can be ready for a short meditation, feeling again that the breath expands and fills up your body, and at every exhale you can come back into your inner sanctuary, your inner temple, and this inner space where you can be with yourself. Observe this exchange of widening and arriving, and just hold space for whatever inspiration wants to come. Keep your inner space protected and open. Try to be still. And to lead our session to completion, take your hands and bring them to your heart so that you can be with yourself efficient through living through your heart. And then open your hands so that you can come to the outside, and also with the same integrity and wholeheartedness be with others. And thank you so much for practicing, Alex. It was really, really nice. And thank you for being here. Until the next time. Namaste.